What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Rick Knows Hoops. I'm your host, Tyreek, and it's deadline day, and we got trades coming in left and right. Not really, but there is a trade that did just go down like about 30-40 minutes ago. Woj reported that DeLon Wright got traded to the Kings for like Corey Joseph and I think a couple picks, like second-round picks. I don't really have an opinion on that. All I know is DeLon Wright turned the ball over in crunch time earlier tonight. And then he got traded like a couple hours later, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, that's the first trade of deadline day. So hopefully we get the 15-16 trades that Woj was talking about. So this episode, I'm going to focus on the games, but I'm going more towards trade storylines to coexist with those games. So we're going to start with the Toronto Raptors, who ended their 9-game losing streak tonight with a big win over the Denver Nuggets, who the Nuggets have been playing really well lately. And it was a 24-point win for the Raptors, but let's focus on what Toronto has going on right now. Apparently Norman Powell is reported that they're 80% sure that he's going to get dealt at the deadline, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, he's a player that can really come into a team and, change the dynamic because he's somebody that gets, points in bunches. Like he can heat up and get 30 points, on any given night. He's one of those kind of really talented scorers. He's on the last year of his deal, so, it might be a half-season rental for the postseason more likely. But, yeah, at $11 million a year, I'm sorry. That's pretty much a bargain for the rest of the season for Norman Powell, who's been really great this year. So I saw the Nets are a team that's trying to get him, but like I don't see the fit. Like that's a bunch of offense, man. That's a lot of offense, like a lot of different options. And I'm just in the camp of they don't need too many more scoring options, in my opinion. The Nets have also been linked to J.J. Redick, who is expected to get bought out, apparently. So that's another big name. Well, another name that can help, a playoff team as a veteran. So, keep an eye on that. But Norman Powell, 80% sure that he's going to get traded is what the reports are saying. And also the Kyle Lowry news. They caught Kyle Lowry throwing up the peace sign to the cameras after the game in the tunnel. The Miami Heat, the Philadelphia 76ers are the two teams that are very interested in Kyle Lowry. So, we're going to see if Kyle Lowry gets moved out of Toronto, which it seems like he's pretty much been there for most of his career. I mean, definitely over the last 9, maybe even 10 years. He's been there a long time and one of the best Raptors ever, if not the best. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. Nice for the Raptors to end that losing streak finally. Tough loss for the Nuggets. I believe this is the second night of a back-to-back, so yeah, give and take in that situation. Next team, the Boston Celtics, they lost again tonight. Believe they're 2 games under 500 now. And they were getting blown out bad by the Bucks, but they were able to come back. But Chris Middleton, he's the Celtic killer. And, he pretty much killed him once again tonight. I saw a report, and I'm in the camp of, I don't think this makes the Celtics better, in my opinion. Because they gave up 70 points in the first half tonight. Marcus Smart's your best defender. I mean, if you're not new to this channel, you know how much I value Marcus Smart for this team. Apparently, the trade that has been talked about is with the Orlando Magic for Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon, and it will send Marcus Smart to Orlando along with 2 first-round picks, and I think that $17 million trade exception. I don't think this really makes the Celtics better. Aaron Gordon, he's a good playmaker for his position. He can score the ball at times, and he's a good team defender. Not really one-on-one like Marcus Smart is, but he's a good team defender. And Evan Fournier, he's a scorer. He's gonna score the ball. I think he's pretty much been consistently 17 points per game over the last 4 or 5 years. He's gonna score the ball. He shoots the ball really well, which the Celtics do need spot-up shooting. But I still don't think losing Marcus Smart, who's been your best playmaker, your best defender, and the ultimate glue guy for this team. I mean, we saw when he was out those 18 games, this team fell apart. And, they haven't been able to recover since then. So I'm just in the camp of I don't think that really makes this team that much better. But they're in a bad situation because they didn't get anything for Gordon Hayward in the offseason. They didn't really replace his production, his value. And now you're in the position where, you're not going to trade Jaylen Brown most likely unless it's for a big name. You're not going to trade Jason Tatum, and nobody wants to take Kemba Walker. So it's you kind of have to trade Marcus Smart because he's the only other player with value on this team. So yeah, the Boston Celtics have themselves in a very tough situation, and it's looking right now like they might, be on the outer skirts of the playoffs. Maybe have to be in that play-in tournament. So that it's bad news for the Celtics, man. Danny Ainge, I think like his reputation is on the line because all those first-round picks, they look cute on paper, but you got to make something of it, man. You got to make something of them. Speaking of first-round picks, I want to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They did lose tonight. They lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, but bro, this team is just flooding with like potential. Like they should be set up for a lot of success in the future. I'm upset that Shea has plantar fasciitis, so he's gonna be out several weeks. That's upsetting, but they played without him tonight, and they looked really good for most of this game. And then the Grizzlies started to pour it on them, in that mid third quarter into the fourth quarter. But I love what I see from Moses Brown. He had a double-double in the first half. He was playing great basketball. He was protecting the paint. He was running the floor, finishing, of course, rebounding the ball. Like I said, he had a double-double. And also like guys like Roby, Isaiah Roby. Very, very quality player. He was playing really well too. He's like a 6'10" forward that can handle the ball a little bit. He pushed it in transition a few times. I like seeing that, raw potential. And also Pokashevsky. I hope I said that right. Pokashevsky. Hey man, he's like a 7-foot wing. Like no exaggeration, he moves really good. He's if you haven't seen him play, bro, he's mad skinny. Like he's probably like 180 pounds, honestly, at like 7 foot. But hey, he has good shooting touch, decent little handle too. Like he can get into like pull up mid-range areas and stuff. I like what I see from this team, man. And excuse me, they got like 1,000 first-round picks, so the future is set up very nicely for this OKC team, and they're still competitive right now, which is a good sign that these young players are playing in a competitive environment. Good win by the Grizzlies, though. John Morant struggled in the first half, but Dylan Brooks was able to really pick up the scoring load. He had 25 in the game. Good win for the Grizzlies, who are trying to, make a playoff push. That's another team that's in a very good position either way. Jaren Jackson still has not played this season, which is crazy, and this team is still very good. Let's move on to the. I want to talk about the Chicago Bulls. Another loss tonight. This was kind of a bad loss to the Cavs. Colin Sexton did not play, and this was it just had this game when I turned it on. It just had a weird vibe to it. The Bulls really struggling out of the All-Star break, man. Really struggling out of the All-Star break. They've lost to some teams that have been missing their star players or their go-to players, and they've lost those games. And it's looking like trades could be imminent for this team, and they're in a weird spot because it's like with the roster they have right now, they're not really good enough to be a solidified playoff team, but they're not bad enough to tank and get a high draft pick to potentially get a Cade Cunningham or Jalen Suggs or somebody like that. So this team, I mean, I heard Lauri Markkanen is in a lot of trade talks. I don't really know like where the fit would be because he's going to be a restricted free agent, what you would get back in return. I seen Lonzo Ball's been linked to the Chicago Bulls for like the past maybe like 3 weeks, maybe a month now. So I don't know, like it's going to be up to the Bulls management to see if they think they're good enough to make a push for the playoffs with a trade or two, or maybe sell at the deadline, be one of the few teams that might be selling teams. I don't know. Very interesting situation. Next, I want to talk about the Atlanta Hawks because they had been playing good basketball, but they've lost, I think, a couple games in a row. They lost tonight to the Sacramento Kings. Came down to the very last shot. Gallinari missed it at the buzzer, which would have sent it to overtime. But another team, we saw it in the offseason. They brought in a lot of names, a lot of new bodies. And it's like, well, not all these guys can play. And it seems like Bogdanovic is going to be somebody that they're looking to trade. Apparently, the Clippers have been linked to him, and the Warriors have been linked to him too. So it's going to be interesting to see if, he just signed a 4-year deal worth like $72 million to come to Atlanta. It's going to be, crazy to see him go just over after half his season. And he's been injured a lot early on in the season. So, that's kind of something kind of crazy that could be happening. Also, I guess Cam Reddish is now made available, which is something, we could have seen happening because they drafted him. They drafted DeAndre Hunter in the same draft, in the lottery. Both of them were lottery picks. And it's like, well, they play the same position. They play the wing. And it's like, well, one of these guys got to be good. And, DeAndre Hunter's been the one that's been better. Cam Reddish has shown a lot of potential. I just think they drafted him because at the 10th spot, he fell right into their lap. So it's like, well, we're just gonna take the best player available here, opposed to fit, which I'm not really mad at. But now, probably be able to trade him to a team, get something in return. We'll see how that happens. And also the Kings, I mean, they won this game. Another team that's in a weird spot. Like the roster obviously has talent. Like, they got talent, but I don't think they know what they want to do with this team. Apparently, like, Marvin Bagley's been made available, which is crazy. The second overall pick just a couple years ago over Luka Doncic, over Trae Young. He was the second pick, and then I guess he's made available now. I can't even really assess Marvin Bagley too much. He's not a bad NBA player. He just hasn't played. Like, I think last season he played like 13 games. I haven't seen him play this year either. Like, he's been in and out of the lineup a lot, so it's hard to really assess him. But Buddy Hield is untouchable. Rashawn Holmes is untouchable. Harrison Barnes is untouchable. So it's like what are you guys doing? Like, because this team is not good enough to make the playoffs like certified, but I don't think they're bad enough to just tank with this roster. So it's like you kind of have to sell. Like, people will trade for Harrison Barnes because he can't help a playoff team. Playing that small ball 4, sometimes 5. Like, he can't help a playoff team. Buddy Hield, everybody could use a jump shooter like Buddy Hield. And Rashawn Holmes, I'm sure a lot of teams would love Rashawn Holmes. Like, I could probably name like 5 teams that would just love to have Rashawn Holmes on their roster. So, I don't know. I don't know what the Kings are doing, man. I really don't know what the Kings are doing. Yeah. We already talked about the Orlando Magic and their trade rumors. Be interesting to see if teams start offers for Vucevic. We don't really know too much, haven't heard too many rumors or anything, but I think they're looking for like a return similar to what Drew Holiday got the Pelicans, like 3 first-round picks and maybe a player or a young player or something like that. So we'll monitor that. But they beat the Suns tonight. Evan Fournier hit the game-winning layup, which, this is interesting, could be his last game in Orlando. But tough loss for the Suns, second night of the back-to-back. Yeah, they had won like 7 straight road games, but they'll take that loss there. Other games, I didn't watch the Nets Jazz because nobody played for the Nets, so that did not entertain me. But I think those are 2 teams. Well, at least the Jazz. I don't really see the Jazz making any significant moves, but I guess the Nets are trying to get everybody. I mentioned the JJ Redick stuff earlier. I saw something else. If Drummond does not sign with the Nets, if he gets bought out, JaVale McGee will be a big buyout candidate for that team. So I would actually like that a lot, because I think people know I'm not really a fan of DeAndre Jordan getting big minutes on a championship team. But I think JaVale McGee will add another aspect, which, they'll have a lot of interchangeable lineups. Like, they can run DJ some, they can run JaVale some depending on the matchup. So I like that. Of course, Nick Claxton too, who I love. Yeah, I didn't watch Mavs Timberwolves, but I don't really see the Mavs making a move, because I think if they did, it would probably be centered around like Porzingis maybe, but I don't think anything's gonna happen there. It would be interesting if they do make a move though, but I don't really see that happening with them. But they've been playing really, better lately, of course. Another team, the Hornets. Another, like, very interesting. What will they do? Given the Melo's injury situation. Saw a report about the second opinion. He could come back later this season, but who knows? Of course, I think the Clippers have been linked to Terry Rozier, but how would that happen? Would they be willing to give up Terry Rozier for not too much in return? I don't know. I mean, that's something that we'll just have to see. And this was a good little game. The Pacers and the Pistons. I talked about DeLon Wright turning the ball over. They were down 2 at the time, and then there was like a 4 or 5 second difference between shot clock and game clock when the Pacers got the ball back. And Karis LeVert hit the step back 3 to ice the game, man. I love seeing Karis LeVert playing basketball again. I'm so glad he's healthy. His kidney is cool, because that's a scary situation. But yeah, that's all the games from tonight. Clippers and Spurs, I didn't really watch that, but the Clippers were pretty much in control that entire game. So Clippers been playing a lot better lately. That's 4 straight wins for them after going on a little bit of a bad stretch, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the only other rumors I was really focused on was the Lakers making some players available. I think Montrez, KCP, and I think they said Talon Horton-Tucker's available too. So we'll see what the Lakers decide to do at the deadline. I mentioned in my video yesterday, they're in a kind of weird spot because Bron's out, at least a couple weeks. we don't know how long AD is going to be out. So they're in a kind of weird situation where they could fall in the playoff seedings. But when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, as long as they're healthy for the playoffs, I don't think they really care who they play in that first round. But yeah, that's 15 minutes of trade talks and keeping y'all updated from the games tonight, man. So it's the day, man. It's the day. It's the early hours, but it is the day, man. So hopefully we get a lot of chaos, man. I hope I wake up tomorrow morning and I get like 5 Woj bombs or something, man. Like I'm ready, man. I'm ready. So, be sure to have post notifications on, because pretty sure I'm gonna be dropping a video later on today, pretty much. It's deadline day, man. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'm gonna be back next time, y'all. Peace.